So now we'll be creating kind cluster on Ubuntu server. So we'll be creating multiple clusters. On Ubuntu server. Before that, so this is the documentation which I am following. So let's create it. So let's create the instance first. Do we have any instance? No, we don't have. In my AWS account, let's create instance one. So Ubuntu, I'll take Ubuntu image. I'll be using T2 medium rather than micro because T2 medium will cost you a little bit. So I'll be using T2 medium rather than T2 micro. And I have the key which is testing dev 1. And VPC, I have already created a VPC in my account. So I am using the created VPC. This is the VPC which I created. And instance group also I've created already. That's all. Let's create the instance. Let's connect to the instance. Let's update the packages before. So we'll use this command to update the packages. Sudo update apt update. Let's use update the packages. Once the packages are updated and upgraded, I'll try to install 𝐶ubectl. And after that kind, I'll try to install binary of kind, and then after that I'll create the cluster. This is a Ubuntu instance, so I'm using apt repository. So you can, if you're using any other Linux, so you can use your yum also. If you're using Red Hat, or you can use Red Hat. For Red Hat, you can use yum. Let's check if Docker is there. Docker is needed for kind clusters. So Docker is not there. So let's install Docker as well. This is the command which I use for Docker installation. Once Docker is installed, let's install 𝐶ubectl using this command. Snap install 𝐶ubectl classic. After this is installed, then let's take the repository of kind and then the kind repository. This is a binary of kind, and then we'll install kind in our cluster. So after this repository, after pulling this step, after installing this kubectl, let's wait for it to install. Let's wait for it to install 100%. After that, we'll try to install the binary of kind. I don't know why. I don't know why it is taking so much of time. Once it is done, then let's deploy the binaries. So it is copying into user local bin as well. So in this command, so let's copy this and then let's try to paste it. Takes around 1 minute, so more 37 seconds. It's downloading kubectl. Let's wait for it to be completed. And once it is downloaded, let's copy the repository. Let's copy the command to get the binary file. Just copy it into user local bin kind. So after that, let's create a configuration file to create the cluster. This is the configuration file. After that, let's create the cluster using this configuration file. It's creating the cluster. Let's wait for it to complete. Cluster name we have given multi-node cluster, so let's wait for it to complete. Okay. Now let's see if it is created. kubectl get nodes. Nodes are not ready. It will be not ready for some seconds in the beginning. It will be ready by the time we check. We can create multiple clusters. So kubectl get clusters. Oh, kind get clusters, not kubectl. Kind get clusters. One cluster. So let's try to create another cluster. This will create single control plane. Only one control plane it will create. One cluster we have with one control plane and two worker nodes. We are creating one more cluster with one control plane. Let's wait for it to complete. This is how we create kind clusters in our Ubuntu server. So I'll give all these commands in the description. You can find it in description. You can create it by yourself if at all if you are interested. Why is taking so much of time? This is T2 medium only, right? So I created T2 medium only, I guess. So maybe this was lagging, I guess. I don't know. But T2 medium I created. So we can create multiple clusters on single server. That's what I desired. So let's see. Let's wait for some time, or else let's wind up this video. Let's cancel this and then let's try to cluster is not created, right? So it's created. Context switch I have not done, right? So for that we have to context switch we have to do. Cluster doesn't exist, so cluster is not created for properly. So I discontinued the creation, right? So that's how we create the clusters, and we can delete the cluster using delete command. Find delete. You can delete the cluster using find delete. I thought multiple clusters I'll create, but this is how we create multiple clusters as well. So let's delete it. Is deleted. So we don't have. So let's try to create it again. That's how we create multiple clusters in a server. So we can create it. If users are more, then we can create multiple clusters as well. So that's how we create it. So let's wait for it. Ready in some time. Let's create another cluster. Cluster 1. Okay, this is cluster 1. So we have to switch to cluster also, right? Let's switch to cluster. 𝐏𝐥𝐞𝐚𝐬𝐞. Switch between cluster. We can switch between cluster using cluster info context my cluster. And get the context. Two contexts, yeah. So there are two contexts. We can switch to now it is using this context. We can switch to this context. 𝐏𝐥𝐞𝐚 get nodes. So that's how we switch between context between servers, and then that's how we try to get it. So we can create multiple clusters inside Ubuntu, and then we can switch to multiple clusters using use context. We can use context and we can switch to multiple clusters. at one time. We can create aliases for this and we can switch it. That's not an issue. That's how we create kind clusters inside Ubuntu servers, and that's how we create Kubernetes clusters inside Ubuntu server and inside Docker. So that's how the overall video is about. And I'll add the add the commands and all required commands inside our description. You will find it there. Also add the link of the document inside the description. You will find it there. Thank you. Experiment. Don't forget to delete the instance. As it is available. So T2 medium I'm using, it is available. So better to delete the instance after usage. So thank you.